It goes without saying, of course, that our life these days is very, very difficult. And I just found, I was struck this week that it just seemed harder than normal. Part of it, I think, was because we had a burial, and we've talked about this before, how difficult it is to lose someone at this time in the burial. It's just goes so against everything that we believe. We have to distance ourselves at a time when we want to be close. It's very difficult. At the burial was someone who comes to Mass here at St. John's, who was also a hospice nurse, who said that he has lost 14 patients to the COVID-19, and just what a terrible death it is. Part of it, I think, is that blunting the curve has been slower than I know that I had hoped it would be, and that I'm sure all of us did. And especially this week, I'm sort of struck by the economic struggles that people are facing. Those whose economic well-being is tenuous at best, or even in more difficulty, of course. And then those whose life's work and life's dreams are now in jeopardy because of this. It makes it very, very hard. We come this weekend today to celebrate Good Shepherd Sunday. And it seems to me that to fully appreciate and experience that Jesus is our Good Shepherd, we must first acknowledge how hard life can be. The poetry, of course, is inviting. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The imagery is beautiful, as Jesus puts that lost sheep on his shoulders. The reality, though, is hard when we find ourselves wanting and lost. This is true of the Paschal mystery as well, I think, that sometimes perhaps we accept it a little too easily, and we mistake familiarity for understanding, repetition for acceptance. Because the reality is that we are dealing in the Easter season with an overwhelming scandal. He was killed on the cross as a criminal. In John 10, over these 3 years of the liturgical cycle, as I mentioned at the beginning, this Good Shepherd Sunday, there are 2 I am statements that Jesus makes. I am the gate, as we hear at the beginning of the chapter today, and I am the Good Shepherd, which we have to wait until next year to hear. Jesus is reveals himself to us as both our pathfinder and our champion. The passage makes reference often to a leading out, which is, of course, a reference to the Exodus and Moses leading the people out from slavery into the Promised Land. But with Jesus, of course, is a new Exodus, and Jesus promises that he is leading us to a more abundant life. So there is for us a continuing need to deepen our trust that Jesus knows the way to redemption and ultimate happiness, and that Jesus will continue to show us the way. Still, it is easier to say and hard to do, because our pathfinder responds non-violently to any threat or insult, never responds to anger with anger. Our champion helps the needy and defends the weak without any concern for his status or his security. The Good Shepherd trusted in a divine vindication, not self-assertion or self-reliance. The poetry is inviting, the imagery is beautiful. The day-to-day reality is more difficult. And so, like the crowd who heard Peter's speech in that first reading, the speech immediately after Pentecost, we too ask, what are we to do? And so us too, Peter says, repent. For the promise of this abundant life is made to us, to our children, and to all those who are far off. So we repent. When life is hard, we repent. We change our minds and our hearts, that we might come to experience more and more fully, really and truly, that though we walk in the valley of the shadow of death, no evil should we fear, for our Good Shepherd is with us.